This is Cook and Cassius for iFILM London. On the phone we have Eddie Hearn. You alright, Eddie?
It's not really the same, is it?
It's not really the same, I know, but I missed you last night. Not literally missed you, but I was waiting for Audley, and I don't know where you went, so...
Right, I'll tell you where I was. Brick Lane Bagel. Salt beef, mustard, bagel with the old man.
With the old man as well?
Yeah. It's a proper night, isn't it? Down the call. Great night of boxing, down Brick Lane to the bagel. Standard procedure, and I saw your phone. I saw the phone go. And I was going to answer it, but I got a bit of mustard up my nose, you know, and it just goes up your nose. And I looked at it, and it was a toss-up between wiping the mustard out or picking up the phone, and I went for the mustard, so sorry about that, mate.
Do you know what? I don't blame you. Do you know what? When listening to Audley Harrison talk after the fight, I mean, maybe something that we don't know. Audley was sort of under the impression that this is sort of opening up doors for Matchroom and Sky, and, you know, is that the case?
I don't know. I mean, I spoke to him today, you know. I mean, first and foremost, we shared a great journey, me and Audley, you know. I mean, I've been around boxing most of my life, but in terms of the promotion business, that was really the first time that I was involved in promoting a fighter with Audley Harrison. You know, I was running Prize Fighter, and I met him, I was playing poker in Vegas, and I met him out there, and he was not finished, but he was pretty much done, you know. And he asked me if I thought of any ways to get him back into boxing. I said, look, you know, we're running this thing back in the UK right now called Prize Fighter. It's getting massive viewing figures. You being part of that show would be massive for the show. And, you know, if you won that format, which I think you probably can with your style, I think you can get a European title shot. We had Albert Sosnowski at the time, but he ended up fighting Klitschko. And then Audley fought Sprott for the vacant title. And I said, I'll get you the David Hay fight if you can win that European title. You know, I mean, I was totally green to the business, but I had a plan that I thought I could pull off. And I did pull it off. And we all know what happened between Hay and Harrison. It was a stinker, you know. Such a massive fight, pay-per-view, 20,000 people, massive buyers on pay-per-view, and Audley convinced the world, including me, that he was going to win that fight, or at least be very, very competitive. And he wasn't. You know, he froze. And he's always got his excuses about what happened on that night, but for me, he just froze. He froze in the ring, and it doesn't make him a bad person. It's just life, you know. And that was painful. I mean, it was painful for me. It must have been so painful for him, because even when I left the arena that night, I looked on Twitter and on my phones, and there was jokes going around about Audley Harrison. You know, come on, he's not that bad a bloke. He's never hurt anyone, is he? You know, like, just constantly being belittled and berated, which you'd expect when you talk the talk like that going into a fight, you know. And I just thought, blimey, that's him done, you know. We'll never hear from him again. And he didn't want to back down, he didn't want to lay down, and I always said that because of the journey we shared, he's a mate of mine, really. I mean, and I wouldn't turn my back on him, and I'd always, you know, lend my support to him where I can. After the Price fight, I just felt it was time now to call it a day, you know. I thought, Price is a quality fighter, but, you know, it didn't go very long, and you got battered, and you're 41, and do you really want this anymore, you know? But again, he phoned me up on the Monday and said, look, I know you're going to think I'm mad, but I feel great, and I felt great going into that fight, and I got caught, and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, I just looked at the Prize fight again, I spoke to Sky, and we all know what a draw Audley Harrison is. I knew we'd sell the arena out, I knew it would get great ratings, and, you know, you have to question your credibility, because my position in the sport has changed a lot since the Hay Harrison fight. You know, we're on fire at the minute, to be honest, and going back to put Audley in Prize fight, I've got a lot of stick, but again, he's my mate, and I will back him, you know. And I took one on the chin to give him the last chance, sort of thing. In terms of what opportunities are going to arise, I don't know. He's definitely going to get opportunities because he creates interest, so he is a good fight for someone. And, you know, the fights for Audley Harrison at heavyweight, really, I would say there's only sort of 3 or 4 that make sense, and they're like, Tony Thompson, Tyson Fury, Derek Chisora. These are the kind of fights that would potentially get someone interested. Will we be a part of it? I don't know. We'll have a chat, but like I said, I'll always back him and support him, because the bottom line is he's a lovely fella and he's a top bloke, and sometimes he says the wrong, but his heart's in the right place.
Can you see Audley getting another world title shot realistically?
I think I could get him another title shot, because for all those reasons, he promotes and talks such a great fight. He delivers, big TV viewing figures. He sells a lot of tickets, but is that, does he deserve another world title? And I'm not sure he deserved the fight against David Haye. I just think that it was the right fight and the right opponent in Audley Harrison. Did he earn that shot? When he won the European title, he beat Michael Sprott. But if he wants another world title fight, he's got to earn it. And you can't just win a prize fighter and now. Even some people say to me, "You're going to fight for the world title?" Man, come on. He beat Patino, Rogan, and Derek Rossi, and he beat them well, and he looked great. But he needs that massive fight, that massive test, to earn a shot at a world title. And those three people that I mentioned, Thompson, Fury and Chisora, if he can beat one of those, then all of a sudden I think maybe he does deserve another shot. And it's all about opponents, all about the right place, right time. Maybe a world title fight that will come up where stylistically he can win. But I don't know if he is world level. I know that he's British and European level, because I've seen it. I thought that he was level, but when he stepped up, he hasn't delivered. So I don't know whether he's got the minerals or the tools. But he will, knowing his desire and his determination and his will, probably will get another shot, because you always expect the unexpected with Audley Harrison.
I know he's not your fighter, but obviously on the same night, it's quite ironic really that over in Liverpool, Tony Thompson stops David Price in 2 rounds. Major shock, Eddie?
Couldn't believe it. I was sitting watching the prize fight, and me, David Haye, Anthony Joshua, and the dude started going around the York Hall, and thought it was a wind-up, to be honest with you. I mean, Tony Thompson looked dreadful. He was a bit harsh, sitting on the couch having just eaten a carton of Cadbury's cream egg ice cream, but he looked out of shape, and he looked like he was coming for a payday, and I expected Price to deal with him really easily, but he got caught, and it's just a massive shock. It's a game changer in British boxing and in the heavyweight division. Really surprised. I've seen the fight. It doesn't look good. It doesn't. It's not a shot that the public and the fans are going to look at and say, "Well, that was a big shot." But people in boxing know you get caught, in that area with 10-ounce gloves on, and it can have that effect on your balance. And it's like I said, it's a game changer. It's rocked the world, but especially the British boxing world, because Price was supposed to be the next big thing, the future heavyweight champion of the world, and he may end up being. I still believe David Price is a quality fighter, but sometimes things like this are meant to test you. And I'm a strong believer that everything happens for a reason. So if this changes something, I don't know David Price. I don't know enough about his preparation. I don't know enough about his mental state going into the fight. If there were problems, or there were things he wasn't happy with, but if there were, maybe this is a chance to put them right. And you definitely haven't seen the end of David Price. He's a quality fighter. But the only thing I will say is that in the David Price Tyson Fury debate, which I always backed David Price in that debate, I always said that Fury was the one who was fighting the better level of opposition. And you look at it, I know it wasn't spectacular, but even the likes of Chisora, Kevin Johnson, potentially Rogan, and some of the Yanks that were brought over as well. I know they weren't world level, but they were definitely above the likes of Audley Harrison at the time, Skelton, Tom Dallas, these kind of people. So that was the first time that maybe Price had stepped up to anywhere near fringe world level, really. And the result wasn't good news, but I wish him all the best, and I hope that he gets himself in order and picks himself up mentally and gets cracking, gets straight back to it. But like I said, things like this sometimes, Audley come out of his line yesterday. Setbacks only paved the way for comebacks. And he's got some great lines, but this is true. Sometimes this is the making of you. You never know, it might be the making of David Price. But Lennox got KO'd at one stage in his career, and he come back to be one of the greatest heavyweights ever. So.
Okay, just a couple more things quickly. Thomas Stalker, debut. Pleased with his debut. Massive support from Liverpool that come down to your call.
Yeah, it was good. I mean, Christian Late is always difficult to look good against. And it was always going to be a points win because, that's what Christian Late does. But no, I thought he looked good hand speed. I think over time he'll sit down on his shots a little bit more and he'll punch harder. He's just like an excited little kid in a change room buzzing away. And I'm just excited to be part of his journey. I'm excited with all our youngsters because, you only got to see the look on their face, that the opportunities that you're providing them with, how it makes them feel. They're all buzzing, all our team, Cardle, Yafai, Callum Smith, Stalker, Martin Ward, all our youngsters are getting so many opportunities to fight. And I want to give Stalker that opportunity every month, and he'll be back out on March 30th. He's got a massive fan base up there, and it won't be long before he's challenging for British titles. I know that might sound ambitious after one fight, but I would say as soon as it hits double figures, he'll be fighting for that British title.
Just finally, can you give us an update on Kell Brook and Devon Alexander? See, Dan Raphael tweeted something the other day about potentially going on an undercard for Peterson and Matisse if that fight happens in Washington. Is that right?
Yeah, Dan Raphael seems to get all the scoops. I was told 24 hours before that not to say anything for now, and then Dan Raphael's put it out everywhere. But I think the favourite is looking like May the 18th right now, and Washington potentially on that Peterson-Matisse card. And I don't care where it is, I don't care what the date is, there's only one result as far as I'm concerned. And I saw Kell last night, he was at prize fight, he looked great. I think he's sort of mentally overcome the fact now that there is a delay, and like I said, Destiny, there's no time frame on Destiny. I believe he's born to be a world champion, and it doesn't matter if it's 10 weeks later than expected, he's going to get there. And when he gets there, he's got to make it count, and I think he will.
Alright, funny enough, we could have been sitting here talking about Kell being the new champion now, couldn't we? So
we would have been in Detroit.
We would have been in Detroit.
Flying home right now. Probably doing another lame interview in an airport or something like that.
Probably.
Did you enjoy last night?
Yeah, I did. It was manic in there.
It's just weird. It's like a mad night of boxing. You don't know what's going to happen next. It was absolutely rammed to the rafters, but the response has been good. And when I watched it back, no one left their seat or their standing area for 3.5 hours. Even for the Stalker fight, people stayed where they were. For every fight, a prize fighter, people stayed where they were. Refreshing, because you've seen it yourself. You go to a big show, and no one really goes out to the main event, other than if you've come to watch someone specifically. But the large majority of the spectators there in the bar till you go on air, at least. You're putting all these great fights on all these great stars of the future and stuff like that, and people are just in the bar drinking. You just think, come out and watch, get your money's worth, but they do that at prize fights because it's non-stop action. And Audley does it again, unbelievable.
Is it something about prize fighter where fighters fly through the ropes? Because I remember Junior Witter happened to Albert Sosnowski last night. That must have been, and Cal Sowland actually tweeted that's the first time he's ever something like that.
I've seen it whenever we're in a rules meeting, with the IBF or WBC, and they say if a fighter falls through the ring and onto the floor, he has a certain amount of time, I think it's 20 seconds, to get himself back into the ring. And I always think as if that's ever going to happen. that happened last night, but that was one of the most spectacular forward roll recoveries I've ever seen from a big man. You know, he's like 16.5 stone, flies out of the ring, does a forward roll down to the front row, gets straight up, and then gets straight back in the ring, and about 45 seconds later he gets spectacularly KO'd. You know, it's like, maybe he should have just stayed on the floor and feigned an injury.
Unbelievable.
You often think that if things aren't going your way in the ring, and you do get knocked out of the ring, it might be one of those times where you just lay there and go, no more, rather than having to get back up the stairs.
Milk it. Alright, well listen, I know you probably want to go to bed. You look like
I do want to go to bed.
I'll be up anyway, but thanks for talking to us, Eddie Hearn, and I will probably, Brian Rowe's press conference next.
Yeah, Brian Rowe's press conference this week, and hopefully a couple of new signings announced as well this week and next. And Darren Barker, London's finest, press conference the week after, and then March the 9th, back another show, and then March the 30th up to Liverpool. So, big couple of shows coming up in March, and just keep cracking on. I think British boxing's buzzing at the moment everywhere. I think everyone's talking again about boxing. The feedback we're getting is, I'm really interested again in boxing, or we've got so many great British fighters at the moment, from the Froch leading the way to Brook and Bellew and Frampton and Reese and Burns and Cleverley and Groves and Gale and Price and Fury. There's a lot to talk about, so it's good times.
Alright, no problem. Well, good night, and I'll speak to you tomorrow. So.
See you later, mate.
See you later, thank you.